Hey everybody, my name is Zeng. This is my video task for stage 2 of my application to the USA development team. I'd like to apologize for my lack of a formal outfit. I'm actually away at camp right now, but aside from that, we can get started. I remember my kindergarten science class pretty vividly. One of the first things we learned is that all living organisms need 3 things to survive: food, water, and shelter. And while it may seem intuitive that all 3 of these things are guaranteed in our world, having all 3 of these necessities is now more a fantasy than a reality. The fact is that housing prices are going through the roof, animal habitats are getting destroyed, and climate change is being fueled at alarming rates. But though they all may seem unrelated, the culprits for all of these catastrophes is one thing. Property buyers sometimes conduct something called speculation, in which they buy land and try to sell it at a higher price. That directly leads to rises in property value and environmental devastation. And because team proposition is concerned that property speculation is taking away people's basic necessities for survival, we are more than proud to propose today's motion. This House would ban all financial speculation on land and property. In my speech, I'll provide some definitions and frame the debate, then I'll introduce our first 2 substantive points. Let's begin with some definitions. We define financial speculation as the process of buying land or property and waiting for its value to go up, then selling it at a profit. We define land as a part of the Earth's surface and the things on top of it. In the context of today's motion, we uniquely consider land that is purchasable by outside buyers, and property is just land that has already been purchased by one of those outside buyers. Now for framing, team proposition believes that land is useless when there is no one to live on it. Because we acknowledge the scarcity of available housing and animal habitats, we believe that the most important impact of this round is accessibility. Our burden is to prove that speculation has made land harder to get, while team opposition must prove the contrary. Our first substantive point is land availability. The thesis of this argument is simple. As more and more people buy land not to use it, but to profit off of its sale, there is less affordable land available on the market. Those who are looking for land and housing now have a much harder time finding it. Let's now make a key distinction between what speculating actually means. Generally, the value of a piece of land is increased as it gets developed and more things are built on it. However, most speculators don't actually do anything to the land to make its price go up. Instead, these speculators hold onto that piece of land for a long time and wait for its price to artificially increase. That increase usually happens due to 2 factors. First, the land may go up in value because of scarcity. Even if it was extremely inexpensive when it was first purchased, the rarity of land in the surrounding area may artificially inflate its price. But secondly, the land may become more valuable as surrounding land is developed. For example, speculators may purchase a cheap land at the edge of an urban area, which will go up in value as the city gradually expands outward over the years. As the elites turn habitable property into tools for personal profit, we see a plethora of consequences to the accessibility of land and property. This inaccessibility happens on 2 scales. First, to availability. Speculation makes it so that property is bought and not used. With so many people struggling to find available housing, speculators hoarding houses for profits shuts out potential buyers who are just looking to put a roof over their head. As rich investors use speculation to rise to the top, they drag those who are most desperate down to the ground. But secondly, to price. Even after investors are done holding onto their valuable land and then they put it back on the market, it would be significantly more expensive than if a customer had bought that property and used it right away. In fact, that's the whole point of speculation, so that these speculators are able to make good profits from their investment. Let's look at a real-world example. In Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, the housing market became infested with speculators. Property hoarding became so bad that not only could low-income buyers not afford homes, the impact extended even to the middle income. But now, let's see how curbing speculation in turn increases housing availability. In Hong Kong, a city suffering from exorbitant housing prices, the value of property tends to rise year after year. But after the government took steps to effectively curtail speculators, increases in property value reached their lowest in years, taking a big step towards better affordability. It's evident that you must stand with the proposition to help those who are struggling the most. But our second substantive point is environmental harms. The thesis of this argument is that when speculators purchase vulnerable land for profit, they often destroy the natural parts of the land through things like deforestation in order to make that land go up in value. This can come with catastrophic impact. In certain areas of speculation across the globe, that land that is in high demand overlaps with environmentally vulnerable areas, and as protection for these areas gets increasingly scaled back, speculators can ravage entire ecosystems, harm a multitude of species, and exacerbate climate change as they work only for their personal profit. Take a look at Brazil. After a right-wing government took control in 2016, it has been constantly stripping away environmental protections for certain areas of the country, including the treasured Amazon rainforest. This has caused deforestation, fueled not only by large corporations looking to use the land for industrial expansion, but also by personal speculators who cut down the surrounding trees in order to make the land more useful and therefore more profitable. In the region known as the Cerrado in northeast Brazil, the land has many high and flat plateaus with immense agricultural and industrial potential. That has made the region a prime breeding ground for speculators who clear those plateaus of any trees that can make the land less valuable. And in the city of Los Angeles, land is in high demand for rich elites to build sprawling mansions to live on. Those involved in speculation want to take advantage of this demand and do so by buying out large, vacant parcels and clearing them of all their trees. As a result, LA's remaining tree cover has been steadily declining due to these activities, since trees are such a crucial part of the environment as a whole. Destroying them comes with irreversible damages. There are two main harms to deforestation. First, to animal ecosystems. Many animals rely on trees and forests as their homes, protection, and even food sources. But when forests get destroyed, animal habitats are also devastated. Certain species have increased vulnerabilities to their predators, and some may starve to death or go extinct entirely because of reduced food availability. Let's return to my kindergarten science class. Another thing I learned was about the food chain. So animals often rely on certain plants and often other animals to provide them with the food they need to survive. So when one species dies because they have no home, food, or protection, that causes a ripple effect that is detrimental to the whole chain and can destroy entire ecosystems. Second, to the global climate. Deforestation is a substantial contributor to human-induced climate change. That's because forests and trees actually store carbon, so when they're burnt down during deforestation, some of that carbon gets released back into the atmosphere. While speculators wonder how much profit a piece of land may bring them, the rest of us wonder whether we'll even have land to live on in the coming years. Because of the ruinous environmental consequences brought by speculation, our side of the house is the way to go. So when housing is becoming more a privilege than a right, when skyrocketing prices and declining availability make purchasing land more difficult than ever, and when multiple species don't have the basic necessities they need to survive, we must listen to my kindergarten teacher. Stand with the proposition.